Good morning, everyone. Konnichiwa. Um, Welcome to the next session today, and this is on rehabilitation and disability management after employment injury. And today, the team and I, we're going to share the experience and our development of disability management, and also looking at the technologies of the rehabilitation that we have done in our country and the challenges that we have faced. And I think it will be a good sharing or learning for everybody who wants to embark into these measures, and also to look into something different from our conference this week, of which most of us are talking about prevention. However, not very much is spoken about what happened after prevention basically, or not going to say fail, but when after all the prevention that we have done, accident do happens. Therefore, with me today, I have my colleagues from the Department of Disability Management, and also the Executive Director of our Pekeso Rehabilitation Center, to share on their experience and also their technologies and programs in looking into rehabilitation and disability management of injured workers. But I'm going to spend a few minutes to just give you an exposure of how Malaysia's disability management is being held or being programmed in the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia is a country in Southeast Asia, and I am from the Social Security Organization, and our role is in looking into the compensation or insurance against employment injury, which includes occupational industry accident, commuting accidents, and also occupational diseases. For many years, since 1969 exactly, our role was very focused on compensation and also managing the fund. However, in around about 15 years ago, we have also looked into the better outcome of our insured persons who have had injuries, and one of it relies very heavily on disability management, basically managing the injured workers, and also intensive rehabilitation that is required post-injury. And until then, in the beginning, we look at the compensation measures, at providing cash assistance as a replacement of income to workers affected by employment injury, which comes through the different benefits that we have in the system. However, in the last few years, I would have to say that the country has completed the circle from compensation into active labor market, of which now we complete the processes from supporting workers who are injured through the benefits until the part of which we assist the worker back to the workplace, whether you're going back to the workplace at your own current workplace or whether you go into a different workplace identified through active labor market facilities. So how do we do that? Our disability management started in 2007 with what we call a program, a return to work program. This was first a small program looking at identifying cases of workers who needed support in terms of getting back to be recovered and also return to work. We started with 5 case managers in the beginning, and then now we end up with 250 case managers and 630 employment officers to help the patients. In the beginning, The return to work program was concentrated on intensive rehabilitation, identifying cases to be included into rehabilitation support, um, managing the treatment, and also connecting the workers with the employer and also the treatment team. But that wasn't enough. We later then proceed to look into intensive rehabilitation, and this involves the establishment of our own rehabilitation center that includes vocational rehabilitation, neurorobotics, and at the time we were ambitious, and we wanted to have a full-fledged, most modern rehabilitation center that can assist our employees to go back to work as soon as possible after injury. And this was then followed with our establishment of the employment insurance system, and then followed by our extra role as the public employment services. This is what we mean by closing the circle of disability management, from managing the disability and the rehabilitation until the end, getting the workers back to work. What entails our disability management is comprehensive. The programs involves both the primary prevention, secondary prevention, and also tertiary prevention. It starts with work support intervention, workplace disability management, as well as advocacy for inclusivity and prevention. Our case managers look at rehabilitation, looking at the support in terms of financial and psychological, discussion of career pathway, and also finally placement of the workers back to work. Our disability management also looks into working with other agencies, and therefore strategic collaboration, alliances are being made so that we can connect all the facility in the country into a system that can assist workers to be back at work, whether at the workplace or whether in a different environment. We also look into other incentives to support workplaces. So among others that we are very proud of is tax reductions. If you work or if you employ a worker who is disabled within our program, you get tax deductions, incentives, and also other interventions and government working with other agencies to get people back to work as soon as possible. Way back in 2007 to 2011, we started with the foundation phase, and this is when we built up the disability management. In Malaysia, disability management is not a law. Therefore, the challenge is actually to get employers to be agreeable that their injured workers needed to be back at work as soon as possible. And this took almost half a decade to convince and to develop the kind of awareness for the disability management to be accepted as a core approach in returning a person back to work after injury. The second phase is to expand and also integrate the disability management into a national program. And quickly it became a key performance index for our Ministry of Human Resources, and also further dissemination of the awareness by annual hosting of national and international conferences, seminars, and symposiums. But I think the most important part is what we have done recently, of which digital transformation, that we use the data systems and now AI into looking at the rating system and finally triaging our patient so that everybody gets disability management processes, whether it is something that is intensive or whether it is a touch and watch kind of disability management, so that everybody is part of the program. Now, we are looking at a unified disability management system of which we combine the outpatient and the social security approach and the rehabilitation approach so that we can get the best outcome of our employees. This is the disability management system, the rating system that we have employed at the moment. Basically, everybody who comes for a claim system in the country will then go through a triage system, and this will then actually separate them into 3 categories, whether you need a simple kind of disability management, of which the focus will be on injury prevention, getting them get ready back to work, or you can have a moderate kind of classification, of which our case managers will also look into the work site assessment and modification. But we also, and this is important, that we are able to identify cases which need intensive rehabilitation. And this could be in the form of outpatient rehabilitation and also inpatient rehabilitation, utilizing our own rehabilitation center. Final outcome, then it goes back to return to work, and that is the most important bit. Whether it go to return to work in the same job at the same employer, same job with a different employer, or different job with a different employer, and even finally whether you even can be self-employed as long as a person continues to be as a productive member of the society. Have we gained success? I think the easiest way to look at it is to look into the return to work rate and the number of cases that we recruit. And from this graph, the most important bit is what we see in 2023 and 2024, of which the numbers had increased dramatically from 11,000 or 10,000 average to 20,000 average in the 2 years. But even more important, in 2025, and this is not a complete year achievement yet, we expect to double the number in 2024 purely because of the advent of the AI system that we use. And a few key milestones. We are pretty proud with some of the milestones that we have achieved in disability management. One of it is the dissemination of the disability management process to Southeast Asia. Currently, our disability management department is also conducting the courses and certification programs in countries such as Indonesia, Philippines, and a few others. We have all developed our own guidelines on disability management, and we are on the way of developing a Malaysian occupational disability guideline as well, to be able to better predict the days off work of a person who is injured based on their injury and also their work conditions. We looked into the certification processes, the disability management certification and return to work certification is now part of the certification process in higher education in Malaysia, and also we are now providing similar courses to universities so that they understand the disability management as part of the human resources processes in a working environment. And we are proud of the several awards that we have gained through this process. In terms of services, the disability management process in the country are now being served by 235 rehabilitation panels with 2 Perkeso rehabilitation centers, which we are going to listen in the same program today. Not only that, we also have a collaboration program with the government or other health agencies. One of it looks into the program on disability management for mental health patients, and also looking at even more complex management of returning to work of patients such as ones with end-stage renal failure. We continue to develop professionals in disability management, and also is active in at least now 3 universities in terms of research and also studies to look into our disability management processes. What else are we doing? We look forward looking at strategic shifts and innovations. We are already now into AI. We are also developing the Malaysian ODGs, which is an important data management systems so that we can predict the disability management processes. We looked into capacity building for the future. I mentioned to you, we have worked with mental health return to work. We've worked with end-stage renal failure return to work. We are already working with the hospitals for stroke, immediate stroke management, looking into their rehabilitation. And we are now actually integrating not only the ecosystem, but also our own rehabilitation systems so that we can have what we call an early intervention of disability management processes to start as soon as injury starts. So, ladies and gentlemen, a small introduction of how disability management processes in Malaysia and our progresses. But let me now first invite my colleague, Ms. Amy Baizura, to present on the progress of disability management in Southeast Asia. Ms. Amy, please take the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Azlan, for that kind introduction. It's a real honor to be here, okay, with distinguished audience, our leader, the practitioner, just to share that we try to promote the awareness of disability management, not in Malaysia, but also in Asia region. Okay, so before I begin, yeah. All right. Let me ask ourselves, what does it truly mean to build an inclusive society? To me, it means no one is left behind, not because of age, not because of disability, and not because of circumstance, and belief what drives the work we do every day. Okay. So I stand before you as someone who has witnessed transformation up close, a worker injured on the job who thought it was the end of the road, only to return stronger with the right support and dignity restored. Today, I want to share with you how we are reimagining systems, policies, and mindsets to ensure that employment is not a privilege for the few, but a right for all. Okay. Because actually when we include, we don't just uplift the individual, okay, but actually we strengthen the families, communities, and economies. So now let's explore how we can go further together. As we begin, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Across Southeast Asia, we are witnessing a steady and undeniable rise in disability. What's driving this? Well, it's a bunch of factors. Okay, people are living longer. Non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, heart condition are on the rise, and workplace injuries remain far too common nowadays. Okay. Add to that the impact of natural disaster and in some places conflict, and the numbers keep growing. In fact, according to the UN Escape 2019, there are now 690 million persons with disabilities across the Asia Pacific. That's roughly 15% of the global population, making them one of the largest minority groups in the world. But let's be honest, despite their numbers, far too many are still left behind. Barriers to education, employment, healthcare are widespread. In some countries, public buildings are still not accessible, and the economic exclusion is just as stark. A staggering 71.5% of persons with disabilities remain unemployed, not because they lack ability, but because systems aren't built to include them. Globalization has brought many opportunities, but it has also deepened inequality. Too often, persons with disabilities are pushed further into poverty and disconnected from progress. But it's not all bleak. We are seeing positive movement too. Many countries in this region are now aligning with global framework, like the UN Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, especially the call for inclusive and decent work for all. Still, there's a clear gap between commitment and execution. So here's the challenge and the opportunity. So let's ask ourselves again, how do we make inclusion real? This is where disability management comes in. It's more than a response, okay? It's a system. A way to support recovery, reintegration into work, and long-term inclusion. It helps us move from charity to rights, from passive support to active empowerment. This is because when we invest in inclusive system, we are not just improving individual life, we are strengthening our communities and also the economies and our shared futures. So with a proven integrated model in place, Perkeso's disability management approach is now serving a blueprint for the region. Our success in aligning rehabilitation with employment and social protection has gained recognition from the ILO Asian and other regional bodies. Many Southeast Asian countries face similar challenges. For instance, rising NCDs, informal workforce, limited rehab to work pathway, or making disability management a relevant and adaptable solution. This is why Malaysia is committed to regional dissemination and knowledge transfer in order to build shared capacity and inclusive workforce ecosystem across Southeast Asia. Perkeso is proud to serve not just Malaysia, but to take on a broader role as a regional leader in disability management, or DM, through the strategic expansion of the Certified Disability Management Professional, or we call it as CDMP program. Here are the 5 Perkeso strategic roles that I would like to share in advancing CDMP across the Asia. As you can see, here are the 5 strategic roles are the regional leadership and policy influence. Second is the driving economic productivity through inclusion. And third one is knowledge hub for best practice sharing. Next is strengthening social protection system. Okay, with trained CDMPs on the ground, local government can build evidence-based DM system that improve their social protection and return to work strategies, and guided by Perkeso or Malaysia proven framework. Last but not least is the building capacity and sustainable talent pipeline. We are investing in the future for nurturing a regional pipeline of qualified professionals who can manage work disability in a sustainable and effective way. This strengthens the resilience of national system over time. Okay. Now let me take you through the journey of how Malaysia has grown as a regional leader in disability management certification through CDMP program. It all began in 2010 when National Institute of Disability Management and Research, Canada, first offered Perkeso the opportunity to conduct its very first CDMP exam in Malaysia. A year later, in 2011, we signed a formal agreement and obtained the official license to deliver both CDMP certification and also certified return to work coordinator in Malaysia. By 2017, we took a big step forward. By localizing the certification, we introduced dual language modules and exam question in our bahasa, we call it as Bahasa Malaysia and English, with the help of our academic partner in Malaysia, the Social Wellbeing Research Centre at University of Malaya, who also became our official test agency. In 2018, we began developing Malaysia-specific CDMP content, working closely with local experts and agencies. That same year, we conducted the first exam featuring Malaysia contextualized questions. It was a big milestone in making the programs relevant and accessible. By 2021, we extended our reach beyond our borders, promoting CDMP program to our neighbours in Southeast Asia, and started receiving candidates from the region. And as of 2025, we are proud to share that 55 candidates from Asian countries have now earned the CDMP title and joining a growing community in professionals. In total, 577 individuals, including Perkeso's, our staff, our organisation staff, and external participants have been certified. This number is set to grow further, especially following the recent training in Indonesia with BENAPENTA and ILO just last week. Okay. What we started as pilot exam has now evolved into a movement not just for Malaysia, but for the entire region. Let me share a bit about the CDMP certification modules overview. This certification is designed to be comprehensive and covering all the critical areas needed to manage disability effectively and inclusively in the workplace. Participants are equipped with practical knowledge and tools and not just theory. The modules span across key domains, including prevention, disability management strategies, understanding legal frameworks, and promoting health and well-being at work. It's a well-rounded program that builds the capacity of professionals to implement real-world solution for a more inclusive and productive workforce. Now let's take a look at how the CDMP training is structured. The program is flexible actually. It can be delivered intensively and as an in-house request or spread out as a training series. We also offer both physical and online formats depending on what works best for your team. Throughout the course, participants will take part in a variety of engaging activities, including quizzes, role plays, group case study, discussion, and individual assignment. These aren't just lecture. We focus on practical and hands-on learning. At the end of the program, participants will sit for an exam. It consists of 2 papers taken on the same day with a total of 250 multiple choice questions. You will have 3 hours for each paper, and to pass the certification, you will need to score at least 65% or more. Let's take a look where Perkeso certified these CDMP holders are making impact across the Southeast Asia and beyond. Right here in Malaysia, we lead the region with 522 certified professionals to date, and a testament to our long-standing commitment to a structured and inclusive disability management. Indonesia is showing remarkable progress as well. So far, 32 professionals have been certified, and just last week, 36 new candidates, mostly public employment officers from Bina Penta, sat for the CDMP exam. This was made possible through a strong collaboration with the International Labour Organization. And we wish all of them all the best for their results. Next, the Philippines currently has 15 certified professionals in CDMP. What's even more inspiring is how they have built on the momentum from CDMP. They have gone a step further by developing their own disability management modules and delivering in-house training to employers to help raise awareness about the importance of managing disability effectively in the workplace. Brunei and Singapore each have 3 certified professionals, while Australia and Cambodia each have 1, showing that this certification is beginning to gain global recognition. In total, we now have 577 certified CDMP holders, and what we are seeing is more than just numbers. We are seeing a growing regional community committed to improving lives through inclusive workplace practices and sustainable disability management. These pictures captured the journey of our CDMP training, from classroom session to group discussion and hands-on activities. Participants engaged in case studies, role plays, and interactive learning that build both knowledge and confidence. The training brought together professionals from various sectors, creating a strong network of support and shared learning. And of course, the highlight will be on the graduation day, where their hard work was celebrated as they officially became certified disability management professional. As we have seen today, CDMP is not just a certification, but it's a movement, a growing community of professionals across the region, all working towards one shared goal to make workplaces more inclusive, supportive, and resilient. Thank you for being part of this journey with us, and we look forward to growing this impact together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Amy. Can you just stay there for a while? We will do this immediately, so I'll ask her a few questions, and then at the end, I also open for the floor, so that we don't have a forum at the end in interest of the time. When we started the disability management 15 years ago, we did it based on our own perception on how case management is and how to do it. But now it is formalized in a certification from a reputable organization. So how important to have a formal certification in terms of managing the cases post-injury?
Okay, thank you for that question. It is good to have a consistent or a system that will assist those who have disability to get back to work or to regain something meaningful in life. So that's why Perkeso work closely with International Disability Management Standard Council at the MSC to ensure that that our approach and also our training, is delivered in line with global standards, right? So while we adopt the format where the physical or online to suit regional needs, the content, assessment structure and certification benchmark so that it will remain consistent. Okay, so what we do practice in Malaysia, we also hoping that other region, okay, or maybe all countries around Asia will practice the same, and they have the same level of awareness and also understanding in disability management. Okay, I believe that there are also biggest challenge to promote disability management in our own country, okay, even though in Malaysia. But if we do it together, we can do more. Instead of we do it alone, we can do just a little.
Right. If anybody has a question for Ms. Amy, any further clarification? Okay, thank you. Let's give her another round of applause. So far, on my introduction and also on the presentation by Ms. Amy, we've been talking about the management of the cases and also talking about the approach in terms of disseminating the idea of disability management. One of the most important aspect in disability management is the part on rehabilitation and how much or how intensive the rehabilitation has to be, and also the extent of the rehabilitation. Today, we have the privilege of having the executive director of the best rehabilitation center in Southeast Asia to be here to explain to us on the processes and also the advances of rehabilitation in our rehabilitation center in Perkeso. Let's as well welcome Dr. Hafiz Hussein.
Thank you, Dr. Azlan, as a chairperson today, and my colleague Amy just now. Thank you for both of you who have carved and paved the way easier for me not to tell from the beginning what is the important things about the case management, disability management. But what I'm going to tell today is something like what's next. Okay, this is the real deal. I mean, you heard about the numbers, you heard about the issues. So what is the thing that we are doing right now? What is next, right? So as you can see, let me start with the story of if a person that has a chronic injury or a person has a chronic illnesses. So everybody who knows that it leads to the disability. And then usually the spouse or the family members are also involved. Maybe the spouse need to take time off to take care of the person, and also the children are also affected. So this will this will affect to the community, and finally the productivity of the nation and the workforce. So this minor issue of the one single individual can go into an issue to become a national issue. So that's why, what's the issue actually in this forum that, or on this thing, disability management, that we call about. So when we look into what we are doing, it's actually being informed, being mandated that we need to govern all of our law. So this is one of the law that stated about return to work. So it's not specifically about disability management. Disability management has been introduced when we learned about how the other countries like Germany, like Australia, US, or even the Japanese itself, how they manage the cases of this individual who are involved in the chronic injury or the chronic diseases. So what is most important, all right? So I won't talk about disability management anymore, about the, how we manage to get these cases, but we have learned that there are three things that is most important in disability management, which is the prevention part. We have to get them as early as possible. Even I would love to get them inside the ICU itself at day one of the injury. And then, of course, when we look into what's next, the rehabilitation, the intervention, in our experience, we know that the case management use the biopsychosocial issue or the intervention like vocational and rehabilitation and mental health intervention. But we learned for the last 11 years, there are two more important things that we have to include in our program. The first one, because we are in the multicultural country, we have to know more about the cultural side of the intervention of the rehabilitation program. The second one is that the spiritual side of it. We have to get involved on the spiritual side and the family member support in this issue. And of course, the last one is all about assistive devices, what you call Internet of Things. The technology is most important for them to promote the success of the rehabilitation program. So when you look into the concept of the social security, I mean, right now we are only focusing on this from the active working age up until 60 years old, because for us, the age of pension is up until 60 years old. But however, actually, in the social security concept, we have to look into the concept of from womb to tomb. In sense of we also have the other part of the age in our life, and also in the older adult age of the rehabilitation program itself, whereby in each and every part of their age, they have their own type of injury, and also we have to learn how to manage the intervention of rehabilitation in every part of their what you call life or circle of life itself. But this is something that we would like to have in the sense of, other than rehabilitation center, we would like to have also the trauma and work injury center, and of course we have to look into more of early intervention like trauma center, which is we would like to have the 8-hour golden hours, getting the patient as early as possible in our center itself. So what Dr. Azlan mentioned about the integrated rehabilitation, yes, is very important, because what we do is that we try to put all the effort of the services so that they would we would like to have them treated properly in whatever disability that they have. We would like to have them treated in the sense of the best way that we can provide. You can see over here we have a medical services, we have a physical and occupational rehabilitation. We also look into the vocational retraining so that we can make sure that they'll be able to be easier to go into the labor market. So it's like a way of how we handle them from the beginning. And you can see that, is there any demand? There's a lot of demand. For the last 13 years, you can see almost 1 million has claimed for the temporary disablement, and a quarter of them have become permanent disablement, and 400,000 has claimed for the chronic illnesses. So this is very alarming. And how to prove this? You can see that the musculoskeletal is always number one. I believe that some of the country also having the same issue. But you can see on the other side of the neurological side, the stroke management is definitely getting on the higher side. So this is due because of the non-communicable diseases in our country. This is always alarming to say that there's an increment, the numbers of people who get stroke and complication of these non-communicable diseases. So how we do is that we integrate the advanced rehabilitation technology, sense of we do a lot of technology from all over the world, and mainly we do the Cyberdyne technology. You can see over there the exoskeletal, and we also have the other technologies coming from Europe also. We have Huber from France and Robert from Switzerland. So this is part of the thing that we integrate so that it can be a comprehensive high technology, so that we can bring them as safe and as fast as possible into whatever that you're doing before. So in our experience, when we started in 2014, so on average of about 9 months for each and every individual to be treated in our center. But for now, we have reduced it into 42 to 90 days for each and every patient that be able to be returned to work or be able to be having a better functional level for every individual itself. All right, so what we like to say is that you heard about Azlan's vision about the ODG, but this is part of our effort to help to do the best algorithm to look into how we can predict the number of days, and also what are the best equipment and the best program that we can offer to our patients. So this is one of the examples. If you have a stroke patient or you have a spinal cord injury or you have a motor neuron disease, you can select it. And we are using this is ICD-10 or ICD-11, and all this assessment you can see over there. There's a grip assessment, all will be done by each and every team members in our team. We have 22 members, which consists of occupational disease, vocational trainers, the doctors, the nurses, the medical assistants. They're all chipped into this program. And this is part of the advanced movement analysis that we have. And of course, when you look into this, all the data will come in and it can easily be visualized. We use the IoT so that right now, I mean, all of our patient complaints to say that the doctors are not having a proper eye-to-eye contact with the patients. Now we say that we use IoT. Sometimes they don't need to key in. They just say and the numbers are pop up. So these are all technologies we learn about the algorithm and finally the analysis. So we hope that this algorithm would suggest the best treatment modalities that we aim for recovery, and finally we can provide Dr. Azlan's all the numbers so that we can put inside the ODG so that we can be more responsible for the social security to pay for all our services. So this algorithm, hopefully it can predict the best potential improvement in the number of days, the number of money, costs, also in the name of all the treatment modalities that we can suggest to the treatment. So finally, I hope that because the time is, taking very fast, so maybe you can hear some testimony from this person, Nelson.
Both my feet,
Yeah.
I couldn't move. And then once I went for the MRI, results, there was pus in my backbone, level T10 and T11.
So you can see that he's, going from stage 1 to stage 2, from bedridden to wheelchair, and then doing all the exercises. So step by step. And this, on average right now, for this patient is usually about 42 days to 45 days will be in our center. So hopefully, with the experienced team that we have, it can be faster than that.
Where I couldn't transfer from,
so this is a Cyberdyne. You can see there's a lumbar. So we also use other modalities.
That they give you, the service that they give, and the classes that they arrange us to go really plays a big part. You have to have strong courage and you have to be determined in what you do. I don't know how to put it, but this place is really a very good place. Cyberdyne played a very big part as well. In fact,
So
most of the classes
undergo Cyberdyne.
The classes that they arrange for you, take it to your limit that you can do, because be positive, be happy.
So you can see that it's be able to walk properly now. So we also do a lot of, this is Luna. And this is Vibramove. I think this technology comes from France. So it's one unique thing that we can use the concept of FPS, the Functional Proprioceptive System.
Thank you, Pusat Rehabilitasi Pekeso Melaka.
All right. So anyway, there's a bit of testimony from the Stanless, which was our patient, and now he's be able to return to work. But for now, I would like to say that this is the current new center in Ipoh, which is going to receive the first patient next week. So you can see that this is the architect's illustration, but you can see over here that this is the real thing on the right picture. That's the real center. This has already been built, and then hopefully, I think about 80 patients will come in next week for our first batch, and I believe that will be definitely very chaotic at the first time. But I think that this is always an experience that we have, because this is our second center. The first center is in Malacca. So you can see that this is the real center, which consists of 11 blocks in a 93-acre piece of land. Right? So all 11 blocks, which consists of all the integrated services. So this is what we call the tree of life inside the nucleus building. So over here you have the case managers, you have the customer service, you have the first information report, and also the assessment by the doctors, whether the patient is fit or not fit to go to rehabilitation or not. This is all this roof that is covered all the buildings in our place. So there was Ipoh, which is going to start soon next week. But this is going to be our third center in Terengganu. So this is at the East Coast. So the first one is in the Malacca, the southern region. The second one will be on the northern region, which is Ipoh. And the third one is at the east coast of the nation. So this is the latest one, which is in Terengganu by the seaside. It is at a 70-acre piece of land donated by the Sultan himself. So this is the future of the third center that we're going to have in East Coast. And every center that we introduce is having a different type of concept, which we started with the concept of dedicated to return to work, which we have learned for the last 11 years. So in Ipoh, we are going to introduce the Neurorobotics and Cybernetics Center because we have learned a lot about the technology from Cyberdyne. And of course, the third one here, we look into more on the vocational part of the program that is customized to the East region itself. So this is, you can see there's a sea, right? It's a nice building over there. And hopefully by 2027, end of 2027, we will be ready. It consists of 315 beds. The Ipoh, we have 700 beds. And in Malacca, it's about 381 beds. But for now, I believe that with the number that we have, almost 1 million claimants on the part of the last 10 years, I'm sure that the demand is still very high on requiring the intensive rehabilitation program. Right, so for that, I believe time is up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hafiz. We have about 2 minutes
Yes.
before we have to end the session.
Thank you.
I think I do have a question. You showed us the technology adaptations and also the buildings. Can you comment on the why are we investing into this technology and the outcome that we expect? Because of course, there has to be a huge investment on this.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the word is that we have to look into the best solution. All right, we have an issue, and then of course we have to look into the best solution. When we look into the best solution, we have to have first the idea of the mandate from the national policy. So second one is to have the best policy. The third one is to look into the best technology, and of course to find the best partners. So the last one is to look into the cost, the affordability. So when we look into all of these aspects, so finally we can find the best ingredient to look into helping out all of those patients who are in needs. And what I can see is that how to have the issue just now, which I mentioned about even a single person who had an injury or type of disability that they need some help to facilitate them to go back into whatever they're living for. Also, the recuperation period is so crucial in the sense of we have to make sure and all the numbers need to be given like evidence-based or whatever to make sure that all of our policymakers, the industry player, the treating doctors understand about the investment that we are giving out is finally to look into as a total of caring about all of our nation workforce. All right. So finally, it's about the how we manage, how we look into the stakeholders' opinion and also the needs of their, what are the needs of their input to look into the outcome of each and every stakeholder is also important, Dr. Azlan. Right. So again, it's about the investment and it's not about the cost, because when you look into it, sometimes the outcome is not all about money, but sometimes it's about, something like intangible, something that we cannot count, we cannot put a value on it. I mean, how can you put a value of people who are unable to walk? I mean, some of the doctors would say that, hey, there's no hope anymore for you. You should be bedridden the rest of your life. And finally, they have some choice. They have an option to go into rehabilitation and finally if they're able to walk again. So this is some part of the understanding that we have to show about the value that we have to put into this. Thank you, Lan.
Thank you, everybody. The red light is up.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's join me to give a huge round of applause to Dr. Hafiz for the excellent presentation. So everyone, we have a booth downstairs in Hall 6B. So please come and visit us and you can ask more questions. With that, I end the session. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.